And what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Amped Up with BC, the 8th of October of the year 2025. Now, full disclosure, full transparency, if you are wondering my thoughts on NXT Showdown, the TNA Invasion, or AEW Title Tuesday, I believe is what they were calling it, Taco Tuesday. If you're wondering my thoughts on it, just so you know, my New York Yankees were facing elimination in the ALDS last night in the Bronx. The Blue Jays from Toronto, a bunch of birds, were about to pin my New York Yankees when all of a sudden, the Yankees showed some life. They kicked out at 2 9/10. They kicked out, shoulder is up. The Yankees are alive. They showed some passion last night. They showed some life, a pulse, which is more than I can say about Monday Night Raw. Which, by the way, I got some news on them. I got the latest ratings from Raw. Remember last week they hit record lows on Netflix. Some fans thought, that's just once in a blue moon. They'll bounce back, BC, especially with Crown Jewel coming up, BC. Oh, not so fast. But to my original point, the reason you're not going to get any lengthy discussion on AEW NXT TNA is because my Yankees were facing elimination. This was a big game. There's no way we could have lost that. And at one point in the third inning, it was 6-1. It was 6-1. Now, mind you, they've already beaten us 11-1, 13-7. But we ended up coming back and winning 9-6. Aaron Judge finally had his moment. So anyway, that's some baseball talk. But full disclosure, that is why I don't have too much to say on AEW and NXT because I haven't seen enough of it yet. It is early as of this recording. I will be catching up on it. There will not be full throttle reviews, I can tell you that right now. But I will definitely have more thoughts on it, I'm sure. But I tried to switch back on some commercials. What I saw on NXT, I only switched once, and it was bad. It was really bad. And it was a women's matchup. I'm guessing it was the Invasion matchup. It must have been, yes, because Jordan Grace was the referee. And guys, I saw the end of the match. It was nothing. And I hate to say this because I love Jordan Grace. She was just refereeing, but love Jordan Grace. Love Kalani Jordan. She was there during that finish. You had Sol Ruka, who I'm so high on. But guys, it was botch after timing issue after timing issue. It was bad. Even the Soul Snatcher at the finish. Who'd she hit it on? Wasn't it Kalani? It didn't even hit. It took them 3 minutes to show a replay, and they had to show a replay where one of the wrestlers, I didn't see who it was blocking the hard cam. So you just see Sol Ruka do the Soul Snatcher, and I think it was Kalani just drop face first, but you don't actually see the move, the connection, because a wrestler was blocking it. I mean, that's how bad the botch was. If you guys did catch it, by now they could have edited it out, I'm guessing. But if you caught the finish to that, you'll see what I'm talking about. It wasn't even close. I don't even know if Soul got a hair strand from Kalani. It was that bad. And again, I believe it was Kalani. If I'm off, again, it was a high-octane game with the Yankees. That's where my thoughts really were. But it was just so bad, and it wasn't just that. I mean, everything was being botched. There was a Spanish fly, and I don't know why. I'm saying it's Kalani and Sol Ruka. I'm really hoping that was the duo. But they were up on the top rope, turnbuckle, and they don't even try. It's not even like she's beating down on Sol and then hits the Spanish fly. Guys, it's just they get to the top turnbuckle and they don't even try to do anything with one another. They just set up the move. You can't just set up wrestling. You're not just gymnasts. This isn't gymnastics. And this is what is hurting professional wrestling. This is what BC is trying to say. If this whole industry would wake up, that's cool that you could do cool things. You've been practicing your whole childhood in the backyard on the trampoline, and then you told mom and dad, I want to be a pro wrestler. That's adorable. But professional wrestling isn't about how many flips and dives you can do. It's the character you are portraying, the aura that you have, the personality, the charisma, the chutzpah, the spark, and the spunk. What do you have? What do you offer? You can do gymnastics. That's fine. There's a whole sport for that. It's called gymnastics. If it wasn't Kalani, all apologies. It was definitely Sol Ruca. Again, Yankees were all I was really thinking in the moment, but they set up at the top turnbuckle, and they don't do anything. They just set up the Spanish fly. So Sol Ruca, who I am so high on, just goes along for the ride. She gets up, she sets up, they talk to each other. They're like, you good? You good? Yep, I'm good. You ready? 3, 2, 1, let's go! Well, it's nothing different than Space Mountain at Disney World. All you're doing is going along for a ride. When mom and dad says, hey, I'm going to the grocery store, you want to come? Yeah, we're going for a ride. You jump in the back seat. That's Sol Ruca. They're just setting up moves with no setup to the move. So you're telling me that's what you wanted to do? Oh, I'm going to go to the top rope and I'm going to take a Spanish fly. They're just setting up. They don't even care about how it looks anymore. Everybody just has to get these cool spots. I could have done without a Spanish fly. The move is so overly done, it's not even special anymore. Wow, you both did a flip at the same time. What a wrestling move! There was a time when it was done once in a blue moon by the right people at the right time. That's when it used to come off cool. Anyway, that's the only thing I caught from NXT, the finish to that women's match, which was one of the sloppiest, messiest, most botch-filled finishes I've ever seen. I can only think about what the rest of the match must have been like. I don't even want to think about it. So that was not good, obviously. And then over in AEW, I checked it out twice during 2 separate commercials. Once was labeled a street fight, and it had to do with the Hurt Syndicate. And then I saw Ricochet flying from one of the platforms, taking everybody out with one of his spots, and then going to an in-pitcher commercial. So then I switched back over to my Yankees. But that was one of the times. Looked pretty cool. I can't stand. One of my pet peeves is when you call something a street fight, but you're not in the street. So you just have a bunch of kendo sticks and trash cans and steel chairs, right? I just went off on it during the Raw review yesterday because they're calling Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed. They set up a match for Crown Jewel in Australia, and they labeled it an Australian street fight. And you guys, man, you guys were bringing up good points. Is there going to be a kangaroo as the special guest referee? Do you go on a wild safari during this street fight? Right? You jump in a Jeep, you go to different parts, different streets. Do you enter a wild forest? An Australian bamboo forest. Is that a thing? Do you say time out during your fight? Do you drink some beers out of a shoe? Isn't that a thing? I remember Rhea Ripley doing something like that. A street fight in Australia. No, you know what it's going to be? They're going to be at ringside. They're going to be in the ring with kendo sticks, trash cans, trash can lids. Get the tables! The Slim Jim tables. Maybe a ladder. Whoa, what? You broke a ladder out. I say it all the time. How many think back to every street fight you've been in. And for most of you, that's probably when you were growing up, right? Teenager, early 20s maybe, rocking out at the bars. We'll call that a street fight. That's totally fine. How many kendo sticks do you remember in all the fights that you had? And none of the brawls that BC has been at, never do I remember taking out a kendo stick. Never do I recall going, time out, I gotta get the tables. I never brought a ladder out. Even in all my bar brawls, I never stopped and went, gotta get the ladder, hold on. Where's that damn maintenance closet? I don't set up steel chairs or start throwing around steel chairs. Call it no holds barred. Call it no DQ, no count out. But do not call it a street fight. That's my pet peeve. I bring that up because one of the times I switched over to AEW, they were calling it a street fight. And it was Hurt Syndicate. And again, I saw Ricochet out there. I don't know what the actual match was. I like the setup for AEW. It's another small venue. But man, it looked good. They had a lot of massive LED. I don't know if it was a Tron or not, but the platform that Ricochet was launching off of, it was pretty cool. But sure enough, by the way, in the 1 minute that I saw kendo sticks on the outside mat. So I was like, damn, that didn't take long. Kendo sticks, even in AEW. And then I checked back a second time for AEW. And the second time I saw it was Mercedes Moné. So I was actually glad I caught that. I'm really high on Mercedes, obviously, from her time back in WWE as Sasha Banks. And Mercedes Moné had a matchup against Kaden Carter. I think she's going Lacey Lane now. That was wild. I was like, whoa, I had to do a triple. I'm like, is that Kaden Carter? Kaden Carter, Lacey Lane. It's really cool to see her out there with the shackles off, Hunter Hearst Helmsley not holding her down. It's cool that Tony Khan gave her an opportunity out there. I thought she did pretty good, actually. Because it was a Mercedes match, I actually tuned in for, I would say, the majority of it. If you're newer to the channel, you'll find out pretty quick. I'm really high on Mercedes. I just feel like when it comes to women's wrestling, when she's in there, it's just everybody's in tune to the wrestling part of this, right? Well, if that is the case, for BC, Mercedes just captivates. So I'm sure for you guys, maybe there's a certain individual, just to stick females. There's probably one or two females where they're in there and you're just like, yep, their wrestling captivates me. For BC, that would be Mercedes. And to see Kaden Carter, who I've always been high on, it's weird because her and Chance, I felt in a tag team division that was not a division. It wasn't just irrelevant. There was no division, guys. There was no actual tag teams. Still to this day, there's not. You have Helmsley putting Alexa Bliss with Charlie Flair, so that Charlie Flair will hopefully get the reaction that Alexa was getting, but Helmsley didn't like that because they were not supposed to be pushing Alexa. It's Charlie they want you to cheer for. So what did they do? Same thing Vince did with Asuka. Asuka was getting all the cheers. Charlie was getting booed. So Vince put Charlie with Asuka. And it didn't work. And eventually, after a couple of cycles, Charlie ends up with the title that Asuka had. And Asuka went back to catering. But with Helmsley, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Same exact thing. Alexa comes back. I think it was the Royal Rumble. Huge reaction. They didn't like that. They put her back on the shelf. I think she actually missed WrestleMania, correct? Something like that. Or missed Elimination. Something like that. Or she was at Chamber, then missed. They took her off some big events. She comes back. Same thing. Huge reaction. They don't like that. Charlie was getting booed instantly, so they put Charlie with Alexa. But my point is, this is what they do. They just put random people together. But with Carter and Chance, they just meshed from day one. They bought into it from day one. They were innovative. Every day they strive to be better and to get better. And they were just so innovative. Every time they had a match, I would see something new. But without an actual division, there was only so far they could go. In fact, they went nowhere. There's no division. So it was pretty cool for Tony Khan to give Kaden Carter, Lacey Lane, I believe it is, a chance. I would not only not be opposed to seeing more Lane in the future, I'd absolutely be up for it. I think she can contribute greatly to any promotion she is in. I said that in WWE. I would say that in AEW. But it depends on the booking too. Because nobody will care if there is no reason to care. But Mercedes won that match, as she should. But I will say, the short times and the few times that I checked out NXT and AEW, again, NXT was only once, and that's all I need to see. It was bad. And it sucks that I tuned in at that moment where the women were just botching left and right. So that'll leave a bad taste in your mouth. But when I did check out both, AEW looked like the more watchable show. In fact, again, I actually put the remote down for a few minutes to watch Mercedes' basically full match. So that tells you something. I don't know which show was better. If you guys caught them, that's in the eye of the beholder. But AEW looked like it was more watchable. But until I see more, I can talk more about it. But that is why we're not going full throttle on AEW and NXT, guys. Elimination game for the Yankees. We ended up kicking out at 2. Pretty cool. Now we have to... If you thought the heart attacks were done, no. Because now tonight, the Yankees are right back at it in the Bronx, facing elimination. Schlittler is on the mound, and I think the Blue Jays are having a bullpen game. Their bullpen is not that great, so we do have a chance to kick out at 2 again tonight, and hopefully stretch this back to Toronto for a Game 5. Yeah, BC can speak. More coffee, BC. And before we touch base on the AJ Styles story, absurd story from Monday Night Raw, talking about how he does not need a story with John Cena. And we know where that directive came from, by the way. We talked about this in great length on yesterday's Raw review during the Amped Up show. But that was about 45 to 50 minutes into the review. So even though BC has the highest audience retention in the community, which I thank you guys for, that's really cool, it's still 45 to 50 minutes into the review. So I definitely want to go over those words again, make sure everybody hears them vividly, because BC was amplified for that entire review. But that's one of those segments we were extra amplified, and it was for justified reasons. So we'll talk that in just a couple 2-3 minutes, but I do want to talk the Raw rating. I have the numbers for this week. And mind you, this is coming off their record low last week, 2.3 globally, 1.1 domestically. 1-1 to 1-2. They won't give us direct, but us number guys have cracked it, and we came to about a 1-1 to a 1-2 domestic from a 2.3 global. So, okay, enough fans blew smoke up Hunter Hearst Helmsley's ass after that, right? Oh, don't worry, man. Once in a blue moon, going to bounce right back to a 2.5, 2.6 this week. By the way, that's horrible as well. If you're striving for a 2.5, 2.6, oh, how far the mighty have fallen. Do you remember when they went to Netflix and everybody was touting, oh, now you're going to see the numbers hiked up because everybody is streaming. That's what we were told when the numbers were going so low on cable. It couldn't be that the product sucks. Couldn't be that Helmsley has no idea what he's doing. No. The product is fine. You know how we know? Because Cody Rhodes told us we're living in the best wrestling era ever. This is the best wrestling era. The Rock told us wrestling's cool again. And Hunter Hearst Helmsley keeps reminding us how richer they are getting. How much money they're making. So the business must be booming then. In terms of the product, creativity, what the fans are actually watching. If Cody says it's the best era, The Rock says it's cool, and Helmsley is telling you that he made a boatload more money, then the product must be great. And the reason the numbers are going so low is because people just don't want cable anymore and they all went to streaming. Okay. So then they went to Netflix. And everybody was touting Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Nick Khan, Netflix. Oh, they can now reach 700 million people now. And they're pulling a 2.3. So where did basically the entire 700 million people that you can reach, where'd they go? Where are they? I'll tell you where they are not, and that is watching Monday Night Raw on a Monday night, or a Tuesday night, a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night, a Saturday, a Sunday night. And we know that because that's the other advantage that WWE has. Not only is, quote, everybody streams now. That's what we were told. But also, Netflix counts 7 nights of viewership, not just unlike cable, right? Remember, cable would only count the 2 to 3 hours WWE was live. But with Netflix, they count 7 whole nights, an entire week of viewership. So WWE should be sitting pretty right now. They should be able to hike up those numbers, which they love to do. But even being on streaming and counting 7 nights of viewership for your little 2.5 hour show, they pulled in record low viewership last week. 2.3 globally, 1.1 to 1.2 domestically. So, this is where everybody that kisses the ass of Hunter Hearst Helmsley said, oh, it's going to be better this week, man. We're getting closer to Crown Jewel. Closer to Crown Jewel. That means we're going to get a better number for Monday Night Raw. No, because you didn't get a better product. You didn't get a better show. People are just going to flock to the show because Crown Jewel is coming up. Crown Jewel is horrendous. Did you see the card? Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes. Again. Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed. Again. Io Sky is going to tag up with Rhea Ripley to take on Kabukis. It's a Monday Night Raw match. At best. I don't know if you would pay that at a house show for half the price. Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie. Maybe will be the match of the night. And maybe there's a match or 2 more. I don't, that's the card. They are charging 3 times the price for a PLE. A lot of people have to pay 3 times the price now. If you don't, good for you. I mean that. There's a lot of people that now have to pay triple the price. And they're finding it hard to even get ESPN Unlimited. It's not easy. That's what we're hearing. So you raise the prices and that's what you're giving them? A night of rematches? Of random matches? Seth and Cody again just because they have titles? Nothing's on the line. A ring and a toy, a plastic championship for photo opportunities. John Cena and AJ Styles. Styles told you on Monday night, because everybody's asking, why are we getting this match? There's no reason. Cena only has a couple matches left. Why are we wasting it? And AJ Styles said, we don't need a story. We're going to talk about that in 2 minutes. Trust me. That's what you're getting at Crown Jewel. You think that was going to make everybody show up and watch Monday Night Raw? Of course not. If you're not producing a good product, people are not going to watch. I've been saying this for years. That's why I do these reviews, these uploads, to help these companies. If they don't want the help, then that's the outcome. Bobby the Brain Heenan used to say, you listen to me, you go to the top. You don't listen to me, you never heard from again. That's it. That's it. Monday Night Raw will be a thing of the past if this is not corrected. Netflix will not put up with this, not even for the opt-out 5 years. They will find a legal loophole within 3 years. Netflix ain't playing around. They're pissed off already at WWE. That's why you saw Roman Reigns had to come back early. That's why you saw them really bulk up this past Monday night. Advertisement-wise, CM Punk's coming back. Roman Reigns is coming back. Okay, what are they doing? Nothing. CM Punk is fighting with other faces. He's literally fighting with 3 other faces. Roman Reigns is fighting again with a mid-carder, Bronson Reed. Roman Reigns has never felt this average in a long time. Even when he was being forced down everybody's throat, he at least didn't feel average. But that's how Helmsley is booking him. So the point is, when you put all these things together, you should not be shocked that globally they have tied their record low from last week. If you're WWE, maybe this is a victory. Hey, we didn't get a new record low. We just tied our record low. The latest numbers for Raw, they have tied their record low. You know what that means. And you know what that's Wednesday. You know what that means. Now, what that means is that if they keep doing this, that's the new average number. That's the new average. So the record low is looking like it's going to be the new average. Like 2.324 could be what they just saw the past several months at 2.526. 2.526 was the average, and that was really bad. Now it looks like 2.3. Can they get back to 2.4? It's not good. And again, some of these numbers are coming when they took their time slot away from Monday Night Football, and it's not like it's live cable television. So they went early, and you still had 7 nights. So even after the football game, you can go back and check out WWE. People are not doing it. This is the problem. People don't care. You can't blame Monday Night Football. They're on Netflix. It's 7 days of counting. And they're going an hour early for the live crowd. Bending over backwards for WWE. But when WWE gives them this shit product, you get shit results. Interesting, right? When people used to think, oh, BC's being harsh and so negative in the reviews, but then you see these numbers. And then it's pretty clear. Oh, BC was just being honest. Everything he said came to fruition, and WWE is really tanking right now. And it's all the reasons we've been saying for weeks, months, and even years. AJ Styles. This is a big discussion in the community, and rightfully so. It's justified. It needs to be discussed because this is the problem. And I forgot who it was. Just recently, they admitted that a feud, I guess you could, I put that in air quotes because it wasn't really a feud. I forgot even who it was. That's how forgettable it was. But somebody actually went out and said, now I don't know if this was on WWE television or an interview, but they literally were like, we don't need a story. We don't need a story. And I think they were just kind of banking on history that they had. I wish I remembered the individuals involved, but this was a WWE quote feud. And this was just within the last couple of months. But this was done on a whole nother scale Monday night. Helmsley just gave a live mic to AJ Styles and said, say this. This isn't going to be on any Sports Illustrated interview or on any .com. This will be on a live mic on a live Raw. And AJ Styles told the world that he and John Cena don't need a story. They don't need a story. And if you're wondering why that was said, because in the community, we're all baffled. Most of us like AJ Styles. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't mind Styles and Cena again, I guess. I mean, neither of them are in their prime. But I wouldn't combat that at all. I wouldn't go against that. Let him rock out one more time. But when Cena only has a couple matches left, and there's literally no reason for this, AJ Styles has been playing around with grandes and ventis, macchiatos, frappuccinos, and who knows what other cup of coffee. Tagging up with Raymond Phoenix. Just irrelevant. And this is John Cena we're talking about. And Cena's coming off of I don't know what to call it. I can't call it a feud, can't call it a story. Whatever it was with Brock Lesnar, which we still to this day don't have any reason for. No good reason anyway. Nothing. Because Helmsley feels he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to spend any energy, time, or effort He thinks you are stupid enough not to ask any questions, stand there with your wooden bowl, wooden spoon, and say, please, sir, can I have some more? Like you're Oliver Twist. As he keeps pouring in the bullshit stew. And unfortunately, there's enough fans that do that, and it pumps up his ego, his chest. And so John Cena's coming off that with Brock, AJ Styles, which was not, we still don't know what that was, and that left a bad taste in everybody's mouth because John Cena has been badly botched by Hunter Hearst Helmsley. This last year for Helmsley has been botched, or last year for John Cena has been botched by Helmsley massively. It's downright tragic. Nothing he is doing makes any sense. Nothing this entire year makes any sense. From Dwayne to Brock to Styles. And who knows for December 13th, Saturday night's main event for his last match. Nothing makes sense. So people are already pissed at that with John Cena and Helmsley, booking him like that for his last year. And then AJ Styles is irrelevant. And then out of nowhere, they're just like, yeah, these two. That's going to be your match for a crown jewel. Yeah, there's going to be epic backlash to that. And Helmsley's response is to say F you to the fans again, which that's all he does. He put on a suit and tie, and he's even more smug than he was when he was a wrestler. He never cared for the fans anyway. Now that he's a suit and tie playing the role of Vince McMahon, he truly feels he doesn't have to give you any storylines. First, let's just set the table a little better, too, by the way. AJ Styles had a match. A 6-man tag, because that's fun. You wonder why ratings are tanking. It's because another meaningless, sleep-inducing 6-man tag is what we are watching. Judgment Day versus Raymond Phoenix, AJ Styles, and I don't even know who was it. Penta? Was Penta with Raymond? Or no, it wasn't even Raymond Phoenix. It was Dragon Lee, the other dude with the mask. Ray Phoenix, Dragon Lee, damn! It was How to Train Your Dragon Ball Z Lee, I believe, not Raymond Phoenix. Anyway, they had a 6-man tag. Faces win. You had Rusev at one point, a heel, chasing off another heel, Dominic Mysterio. A heel chasing off a heel. And in the same show, CM Punk and LA Knight are taking on the Usos, faces versus faces, and they're all beating each other up even before the match. They had a promo together where they're beating each other up, and then having a match in the main event. Faces versus faces, where the crowd, you can go back and watch the main event. The crowd was sleeping. Nobody cared. CM Punk and LA Knight are in a match with the supposed Yeet Master. Jason Yeaterman is in the match too. Mid-card Jim Uso. Faces versus faces, everyone's sleeping. Why? Because there's no reason to care. What are we doing? There's no heels on the show. Seth Rollins is backstage staring at a watch for 3 weeks. BC's just spitting facts, man! If you want to know why the ratings are so low, why the show feels like it has no pulse, why the show feels like it sucks, this is why BC's trying to tell you. So let's add a weird 6-man tag. This is going to be fun, man. We waited 2 hours to watch a 6-man tag. And the faces win. The faces win the match, and then after the match, AJ Styles gets on a microphone, and AJ Styles says, and I quote, "This match at Crown Jewel between John Cena and I, it doesn't need a storyline." That's right, he actually said that. It doesn't need a story to it. It will kick ass. End quote. AJ Styles got on a live mic because they've been hearing it through. Everybody has been bashing this match concept. One of the last John Cena matches, I think he's only got a couple 2-3 left, right? This one, December, maybe one more, maybe 3 tops. I don't even know, but it's only a couple left. And they're wasting it on weird matches that have no story to it, like Brock Lesnar. And now AJ Styles out of nowhere. They've booked AJ Styles in complete irrelevancy. AJ Styles has not been a factor at all. The only memorable thing I remember AJ doing all year was he was dressed up as a janitor with a mop. And I think he was trying to screw with Dominic Mysterio. I think that was maybe a couple months ago, tops. That was it. And AJ Styles gets on a live mic, and his response to all the critics, which, by the way, is industry professionals, not just people outside the walls of WWE. Everybody is bashing this because this is not how John Cena's last year should have went. So he gets on a live mic and he says, it doesn't need a story. It's going to kick ass, all right? So there you go. That's what Paul Levesque McMahon told AJ Styles to say. This is another FU moment from Helmsley to the fans. Remember when Hunter Hearst Helmsley looked at his own fans that were going, Helmsley, we want to support. We have been supporting, but this product is getting bad, man. Can you fix it? And he looked at his own audience. And Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque McMahon told them to fuck off. He said, you're not even real fans if you don't like what you're watching. This is one of those moments where the fans were heavily critiquing this concept. And Helmsley had AJ Styles grab a mic live on Raw and say, we don't need a story, so there. We're going to kick ass anyway. That was his response. Paul Levesque McMahon told all of you, you don't need a story. Just accept it. How bad is that, man? This dude does not understand. He's not getting it. That's the problem with Helms. He thinks his shit don't stink. He thinks he is literally above everybody. Hunter Hearst Helmsley thinks he is better than everybody. He knows he's richer than most. He thinks he's smarter than most. Helmsley is sitting pretty with his mansion, and he's got Stephanie right there. Thinks she's got the keys to the kingdom. Definitely has his balls in her purse. In the McMahon Helmsleys, the Helmsley McMahons, they're sitting pretty. And when fans are just like, hey, man, this is our product and we love it. Can you just make it better? He tells you no. You don't need He had AJ Styles on a live mic say, you don't need a story between us. Just watch the match. Oh, and by the way, Tessa Torre. You know what they told Tess to say right after that? Tessa Torre says, and I quote, the WWE Universe wanted it, and now they're getting it. AJ Versino, wow. Had the balls to say, and I know this was from Levesque McMahon, the WWE Universe wanted it, so they're getting it. Now, I follow this stuff vividly, have for decades. I don't remember one time any demand, any ask, any request, any semblance of wanting AJ Styles versus John Cena for one of Cena's literal last matches. I didn't hear anything about it. There was nothing about it. And of course, we found out WWE tried to manufacture this online with their social accounts, and they tried to make it look like there was a demand with Styles and Cena. They literally manufactured this out of nowhere. They had Styles say something, and then a few fans were kind of like, yeah, that would be cool, huh? You and Cena, if you could have done it one more time. And all of a sudden, WWE really tried to make something. It never got off the ground. That's why most of you never heard a thing about it. That's why BC never came across it. We never talked about it. Never gained traction. Never was the WWE, quote, universe beckoning for a Cena-Styles match for Cena's last matches. Stop. And by the way, isn't it wild we're still calling it WWE Universe? Imagine that, right? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Helmsley still has everybody calling it WWE Universe. Tessa Torre makes that known 800 times every Monday night. And by the way, after Tessa Torre said the WWE Universe wanted it, now they're getting it, Wade Barrett says, and I quote, it's gonna be a banger. Everything to Wade Barrett is a banger. Dude, you're not cool. Stop using the word banger 800 times every single Monday night. Stop. As many times as Tessa Torres says WWE Universe, Wade Barrett says every single match is a banger. He said Maxine Dupree's match was a banger. Cena and Styles will be a banger. When Sheamus comes back, he's gonna put on bangers. Lyra and Roxy put on a banger. Banger, banger, banger. That's Wade Barrett. Stop. You're not cool, dude. So to sum this up, if you keep telling your audience they don't need stories, if you keep telling your audience you're not going to give them any stories, because that's what you're telling them. Helmsley keeps having these wrestlers go out and do these interviews, and when they're asked about fans not being behind a certain situation, they don't feel there's a story to it, the wrestlers are becoming defensive, and they're lashing out, and they're saying, we don't need a story, we have history. Or we don't need a story because it's going to be so good, it's going to be a banger. And now on your live television, you have wrestlers picking up a microphone and saying, we don't need a story. We're going to kick ass. You talk about exposing the business. Could you imagine? I want you to really think about this. Depending on your age range. If you are a lot older, then you remember the Hulk Hogan days, right? Okay. Could you imagine Macho Man Randy Savage picking up a microphone, looking at Hulk Hogan, or the audience, maybe Hogan's in the ring, and saying, me and Hogan, we don't need a storyline. Yeah, you understand? We don't need a story. We're going to kick ass. Yeah, oh yeah, we're going to kick ass. Could you imagine Steve Austin? He's about to take on The Rock at a pay-per-view. Now, mind you, no history, no story between them. Maybe some history. But they're about to have another match, and there's no reason for it, right? No storyline, present time. And Stone Cold just looks at the audience, and he says, we don't need a story. We don't need a story, what? We don't need no storyline. Me and The Rock, we're going to kick some ass. Now, you're probably thinking, well, BC, it's Rock and Stone Cold. So, I mean, he's probably right. Sure. Point is, you wouldn't see, you wouldn't hear, and you wouldn't want Steve Austin to expose the business, to pick up a mic and say, we don't need a story. Because there are kids in there, the ones eating, right? You got them dancing. Do you want them just going, what does he mean have a story, Ma? Hey, Dad, what does he mean not have a storyline? That's what Helmsley is hell-bent on. Exposing the business left and right. Unreal. This is the guy who did the curtain call. Shouldn't be shocked. And now that he can't wrestle anymore, but he still wants to play the superstar, he's going to make sure that the show is the show behind the show. Everything that he does behind the scenes, that's where the spotlight is now going to be. And that's why there's a show called Unreal starring Paul Levesque McMahon. And even though he can't wrestle on the actual shows anymore, what does the show end with every single night? Every show ends with Paul Levesque's name in the credits. He's on all the promotional, right? He does all the commercials. He does it all, right? He's in the signature a couple of times with his narration and his visual. He's in the opening signature on it's all about Paul Levesque McMahon. It's all about Hunter Hearst Helmsley. You remember when everybody said he's got one of the biggest egos in the business when he was a wrestler? What do you think he's going to be when he puts on a suit and tie and he becomes the boss? Did you think his ego was going to shrink? He's emboldened. And he's telling the fans to F off every single chance he gets. And he's so emboldened that he has the wrestlers doing it live now. Screw you. We don't need a story. This is what you're getting. It's pathetic. But then again, so is Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque McMahon's WWE. Pathetic. Until next time, and there will be that next time. BC in the unit, we're saying check you. Salud.